Hello, my name is Tyler. I am one of your home care organizers at our union, SEIU. I cared for my partner for 10 years until she passed away in 2016.
My name is Jacqueline, and I am a member of SEIU Healthcare Minnesota and a paid parent caregiver.
So we're going to start out by looking at how our money moves in home care, because this is an intentionally confusing system that keeps the people who make the actual decisions safeguarded from us unless we actually know who to go after and how to target them. So most of us, we interact with our client or our responsible party. Maybe we're working with a budget, but as many of us know, this is a fight we're in alongside the people we care for. In order to push past these layers and get what we need. So expanding out from there, we have our agency or our FMS. Above them is the county and the lead agency. Above them is the Minnesota Department of Human Services. All of these layers are administrative layers. These are not people who decide the money in our system. They are handed marching orders and a set of rules, and they enforce those rules with the people under them. If we want to actually be looking at where the money comes from, we have to be looking at our governor and our state lawmakers. They hold the money bags in this state. They decide every penny that comes into the PCA program. We needed to build a system that would hold these elected people accountable to all of us. So we did that by building our union. We have three main sources of power as a union. We have our voting power, where we can act as a voting bloc together as caregivers, as clients, as family members, regardless of who is running in our district. It needs to be about how they are going to support home care. So we have lawmakers who do support our efforts and do listen to us and do make the right calls. We are in a position to support them and make sure that they get reelected. And when we're in a position where we know a handful of lawmakers are actively fighting against us, we can throw that person in the trash and swap them out with somebody who will actually support us. As soon as we're through the election, we turn our focus to our collective bargaining power. This is a major power that we have as a union, is that the state no longer gets to just make decisions for us. They are forced to negotiate with us every 2 years over the wages and benefits in our PCA programs. We negotiate directly with the governor's team as the state of Minnesota. And that is the most direct way that we have to get our hands on that money at the state level. The governor makes an agreement with us over what those wages and benefits will be. And when we come out of that with what we call a tentative agreement, it then goes to all of the rest of those state lawmakers that we elected to decide whether to fund and ratify that contract. That is where we have to use our collective power, again, to make sure that the people we elected into office keep their promises to us. We cannot let them just get our vote and then turn their backs on us. We have to get this money out of the state coffers and into our paychecks.
Now that we know how the money moves and who is making the decisions about how much of it's making it to our budgets and paychecks, let's talk about how we get the decision makers to prioritize home care workers and clients. The first step is to create cultural change around the way society as a whole views and values disabled folks. Our systems are not built on the inherent value of all people. So when lawmakers are making the decisions about what disabled folks and their caregivers need, they are leaning back on their own assumptions about what disabled life looks like. Those assumptions are further cemented when society as a whole doesn't challenge them or agrees with them. That often leaves disabled folks to rely on the disability community itself for care, with many caregivers being disabled themselves. For many of us, caregiving is a value that shows up in our lives in many ways, not just in our paid work. When we talk to the decision makers and to people in society more broadly, it is important that we lead with this as a value that we cherish. So, how do we build and use power to make changes that we want to see? Through activism. The state is responsible for building the systems we interact with, and when they aren't hearing from us, the people using them, the results are that we all don't get what we need.
Many people think of activism as just the big protests and the actions, the things we'll see on the news. And while that is part of it, it's not the entire thing. It takes a lot of people working both out front and behind the scenes. all along the way to organize and create the change we want to see. That could be small things like phone banking or texting other caregivers and talking about the importance for this and ways to get involved, sharing and creating social media posts, tagging our elected officials to hold them accountable publicly. It could be medium-sized things like showing up to a direct action. Even if you're not the person in the middle of the street with the bullhorn shouting, you can still be there physically to support that action and show the cameras that this is a statewide situation that we are trying to fix. It could be talking to the media about your caregiving situation and experience. It could be writing op-eds or meeting with lawmakers or testifying at the Capitol. And for a few of us, it will look like doing major actions like blocking traffic or protesting or doing the things that it sometimes takes to get the public eye and get the pressure onto lawmakers by putting their decisions out for everyone to see instead of letting them stay behind closed doors. These are all of the different ways that we can show up and support each other. We all show up how we can, and we support each other through it.
Now that you have a better understanding of how we build our power and make change in home care, we can't wait to see you at our home care activist meetings.
And no matter where we are in this process, we need to keep building our power and raising our voices to win what we deserve. We'll see you in the fight.